I would like you to, without mentioning the name of the group, read some of the lyrics.
You really want me to read this?
Yes, I really want you to read that on the air.
Is the P still good to you? No haste to waste, made it back to the apartment, and being the instigator, I started. Dropped his drawers and then start kissing. F all the BS, no time for reminiscing. Slooping and sucking, knobbing and slobbing. Stiff like a MF, built like a rocket. He's steady effing down in my throat, but I'm loving every bit and refuse to choke. He's all excited, but I stay calm. Blew off in my mouth like a GD cherry bomb. I swallow every ounce of that sticky cum. That's how a D suck should be done. Nothing means more than pleasing you. Is the P still good to you?
Now tell our viewers the name of that group.
Bitches with Problems.
There's another group called Hoes with Attitudes.
Attitude.
Dr. Fisher, what do sisters think when they see sisters like that?
Well, unfortunately, today, a lot of the young women that are coming up don't know to think anything about it. And that's where the problem lies, because they have not been sensitized to the fact that when men talk about women like that, they're putting them in a setting, their ornaments, their things to be used and let go or left alone. And I can't get men to understand what it means to see that unless I give them this other image. If white men had black men showing their muscles off or their teeth or their heavy loins, or even in a collar, like a man will have a woman in a collar like she's on a leash. If a white man had a black man in a collar and a leash, it would be all hell breaking out there.
Hello, I'm Kojo Nnamdi. Welcome to Evening Exchange. Last night, we heard the views of 5 young adults about the sexual images they see in some music videos. Tonight, we'll talk with those directly involved in the industry. Joining us tonight are radio personality and host of Music Video Connection, Candy Shannon, music video director, Billy Woodruff, Black Entertainment Television's director of music programming, Lydia Cole, publisher of Sister to Sister magazine, Jamie Foster Brown, and psychologist, Dr. Pat Fisher. Well, we saw the young people last night talk about what they see and their opinions about videos. The impression that I got from that discussion is that it would appear that nobody anywhere takes any real responsibility or feels any real obligation about what these young people see. Every day, newspapers get letters to the editor, articles, magazines get articles that contain profanity, other lewd references. They routinely edit them out or decide not to publish them at all. To what extent are those decisions made in the recording and music video industries? Let's talk to the people who know the most about this. First, let's talk to Lydia Cole from Black Entertainment Televisions. What guidelines are you operating under for music programming at BET?
Within our music programming department, we do feel that we have a social responsibility to our viewers. However, at the same time, we do have a relationship with the record companies. And we are in a competitive business. We are not the only ones in the music video game. And taking all of that into account, we often request edits on videos. We often get videos in for screening, and everything that we get in does not get on the air for various reasons. Some of them because of the quality, others because of violence, because of sex, and then those that what we attempt to do is to give everyone a fair chance. So if there's any conceivable way that the video can be edited and still get on the air, we do that. We request edits, we request audio edits, we request video edits. And we also talk to the labels and let them know how we feel about the kinds of videos that they send us.
Do you ever get complaints?
Oh, we get lots of complaints. we get lots of letters from viewers, from parents, and we respond to them. We respond to each of them, and we let them know that we do care about what we put on the air.
Does your programming respond to those letters? Do you actually change things if you get enough letters from viewers objecting to it?
I think we do. We don't, however, we don't respond based on one letter.
Okay.
Okay, because that's really not
That's
being
one
objective.
person's opinion, right.
Exactly. However, if we get a large number of calls or letters on one particular video or on a type of video, then I take it to my boss. I'm not in a position. I go as far as I think I can, and then when I get to a point where I feel that it could possibly infringe upon our relationships with the labels, which provide us with the videos, and it's something that I have to be concerned about, then I take it to my boss, and then we determine how far we can go and where we should go from there.
Okay, I want everybody else to jump in whenever they feel like it, but one more question for you right here. To what extent would your boss say, look, this is too bad, I don't care if we absolutely sever our relationship that we have with this very profitable label for us, we're not running this?
It's happened before. I can't speak for him and
Right.
tell you exactly what the example would be, but I can say that it has happened before. I will also say that it doesn't happen often, but it has happened.
The first video we ran on the program we ran yesterday was by Sir Mix-a-Lot, and it is an explicitly long reference to women's behinds, and it shows women's behinds in what a lot of people would consider lewd and vulgar ways. You can all comment, but Candy Shannon, you host a music video show, Music Video Connection. What do you do when you see something that grates on your nerves?
Fortunately, Music Video Connection, of course, runs on a broadcast channel, not on a cable channel.
True.
And operates under these standard broadcast practices. So Sir Mix-a-Lot won't make it on the show. The show has been on since the evolution of music videos, as a matter of fact.
Should we have been having this discussion 10 years ago?
No,
Oh,
we
okay.
wouldn't. This discussion belongs now. Because my experience is the music industry and the video industry responds to the public. These things are commercials for the artists. They're really not there. If enough people respond negatively to something, I dare say you'll start to see a change. Now, there are a lot of cynics and hardcore people, and you have to try to figure out what they're really aiming this at, but we don't pay for videos. They give those videos to us. They spend a lot of money producing these, and they're there to help your kids and my kids and to go out and buy records. So at Channel 9, to go back to say, for the Music Video Connection, I once talked with the producer about it, and he says, you know, I have kids, and if I can't sit down and watch this with one of my sons, it doesn't make it on the show.
Well, so as to facilitate our discussion, for those of you who may not seen it on our last show, who may not have seen it on our last show, let's take a look again at Sir Mix-a-Lot with his Baby Got Back video.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny that when a girl walks in with an itty-bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung. Wanna pull up tough, cause you notice that butt was stuffed deep in the jeans she's wearing. I'm hooked and I can't stop staring. Oh, baby, I wanna get with ya and take your picture. My homeboy tried to warn me, but that butt you got made me so horny. Ooh, hump a smooth skin. You say you wanna get my Benz? Well, use me, cause you ain't that average groupie. I seen her dancing to hell with romance, and she's wet, got it going like a turbo vet. I'm tired of magazines saying flat butts all the thing. Take the average black man and ask him that.
And there you have it. Jamie Foster Brown has long experience in the music video business. She has been a producer of music video shows, and she is a critic of music videos. What do you think of when you see stuff like that? And I mean, you're obviously the publisher of a magazine about women, mostly for women, called Sister to Sister. What do sisters think when they see sisters like that?
Well, unfortunately, today, a lot of the young women that are coming up don't know to think anything about it. And that's where the problem lies, because they have not been sensitized to the fact that when men talk about women like that, they're putting them in a setting, their ornaments, their things to be used and let go or left alone. And I can't get men to understand what it means to see that unless I give them this other image. If white men had black men showing their muscles off or their teeth or their heavy loins, or even in a collar, like a man will have a woman in a collar like she's on a leash. If a white man had a black man in a collar and a leash, it would be all hell breaking out there. And so that's the only way I can get the guys to understand the subliminal messages that are being sent to the children, making women think that the only way that they can get love or attention from a guy is having a big behind and opening their little legs to receive sex, and that's it. Well, this is wrong. Obviously, you know that, because there's a lot more to it. Also, when the industry preaches, well, we're talking safe sex, we're talking condoms and everything. There's a lot more to sex than just having a condom on. There's a psychological trauma there when a guy uses a girl uses a guy and discards her. There's emotional damage there. There's something called PID, which is pelvic inflammatory disease, which once a girl starts a little too early with having sex and stuff, she can develop problems that come later. So there's a thing of respect in the home, and all these things are missing. There's nothing but sex, and so I have a real problem with that. And also, sex is reduced to an animalistic act, and it's a beautiful thing. And this is one thing I try to teach my sons. This is something that God gave us, which is glorious. It's absolutely glorious. But we have taken it and put it on such a terrible level now. And it's like, man, I poke that woman, I jam her and everything. Well, ow, that hurts. That's not making love, unless it's to a cow or someplace.
We're going to talk a lot about that. Dr. Fisher, what is your impression? Jamie talked about subliminal messages. Some of the messages I see in Baby Got Back don't even need to be subliminal.
No, I don't think there was too much there in the form of subtlety and sophistication. It's unfortunate that we have gotten to the point in this society where we don't look beyond the more obvious, the more overt. What are these kinds of videos saying about how people should value themselves, how they should identify themselves, how they should see themselves as an autonomous individual, and secondly, in respect to or in relationship to the opposite sex? I mean, the videos to me are really reducing and reinforcing the notion that women really don't have any value, women more so than men, and that men can then define for us how we should present ourselves or what we should value as a woman. I mean, if we're only going to look at the physical aspects of a woman, I have yet to see in a video any emphasis or any mention of intellect.
Well,
and there's more to a woman than a physical.
What gets me, though, is that some of these men look like they chew roaches, and they got the baddest girls on the block.
Usually several of them surrounding each guy.
Yeah.
And that sends another message. But I wanted to bring our video director in here for a second, because what Time Warner and the rest of the music industry will say is, we're giving people what they want.
No.
So when I'm an artist and I come to Billy and I say, this is what I want you to go out and get me 5 or 6 extremely voluptuous women, persuade them to take virtually all of their clothes off, and that's how I'm going to get my message across. What do you say?
Well, when you're doing a music video, it is sort of like a fantasy for the artist. This is their video. This is them getting to do what they've always wanted to do. And I think that's where it comes into play, where Jamie mentioned you have somebody that maybe looks like they wouldn't have the type of people that are surrounding them, the young ladies or whatever. But from my perspective as a director, what I try to do is convince an artist. I've had instances where people have wanted me to do things like the Sir Mix-a-Lot video, and I've been able to convince the artist to go a different route. And if I'm not
What if you refuse this?
Yeah. I refuse. What if the artist refuses? If the artist refuses, then I won't do that video. I won't direct the video. I'm responsible for those images, and I wouldn't do anything that I didn't feel comfortable watching with my mother or my younger brother, or something I didn't feel good about. I wouldn't do. I also have a problem with beyond just the sex thing, violence in videos, especially in black videos, with images of young black men running from the police and things like that.
Killing each other.
And killing each other and shooting. I would never do a video like that, and I've turned down videos like that in the past.
Candy, you were about to say?
Well, you asked up front, should we have had this discussion 10 years ago, Kojo? And as someone involved in this industry, thank goodness we're talking about it, because Pat talked about the value of women. Jamie referred to, look at these guys, what they have, these kinds of women. I mean, videos play to people on all kinds of levels, and we are confronting so many images and stereotypes in our community.
Right.
Now, we could focus a whole show on sex in videos, and then we could focus a whole nother show on violence in videos, and we could focus another whole show on what people wear, how people dance, how people wear their hair, and all these things are things that we all sit around and, well, you know, I've heard people complain about only one kind of woman in a video, and yet you don't hear so much about only one kind of man. I mean, these kinds of discussions need to go on, and need to go on with people sitting together watching videos. Need to go on if you have your child sitting there next to you. What do you think of that? What does that mean to you? You've mentioned sometimes kids take things at young ages differently than adults do. But it doesn't mean that you don't want to keep talking about it, finding out what it means to them, giving them other choices. Because there are good videos out here. There are videos that are pieces. I think there are. A video that comes to mind for me was Janet Jackson's All Right video.
Okay.
Now these people dance. She brought in the Nicholas brothers and Sid Charisse, and she, you know, the whole movement, everything about it made you feel good, and you like the song.
Oh man, and things like Lionel Richie dancing on the ceiling.
Exactly.
Real fun videos.
There have always been good videos, and there'll always be videos that go, uh-oh, what's the message here? But it is important to realize these are commercials for the artist, fantasies for the artist. When the record company puts up, what kind of money, Billy, do you think they cost?
Right now, a low budget video is $35,000.
So low budget.
That's a
video
low
is
budget.
Very low.
And you know, Michael Jackson's videos are going to cost in the millions.
Yeah.
So they're really trying to appeal to people and to the most amount of people they can. But I think it's a legitimate question that people start asking, what kinds of images do we want repeatedly? And we seem to have a limited scope of what we say we want. You know,
well, you're talking about the great variety of videos, or the great variety of aspects of video that a lot of, I would call them connoisseurs of video see, which is what young people tend to be when they see them. Those of us who are older don't see that large variety. What we tend to see is a certain sameness in the videos. We tend to see the sex and violence over and over again, maybe in different forms, but with the same kind of explicit message. And I know Dr. Fisher was just getting ready to say something, and Jamie wants to.
I mean, there's just so much to say. I don't know where to start.
Oh, just start anything.
You know, I have problems with. Obviously, we need to talk about what's going on, but I think we need to get to another point. We, as older, responsible, hopefully mature adults, need to start taking more responsibility and saying enough is enough. Society in general has been co-opted. Young black people, children, have been co-opted 100 times. It's continuing to happen. Unfortunately, we know, statistics show that blacks tend to watch TV more than whites do.
Yes.
Our children are not being taught how to critically think, not even how to think, much less critically. They're not being taught how to analyze. We're not talking with them to the extent that we should help them develop their thought processes. We need to, if anything, start demanding that if they're going to watch videos, that we need to bring another type, another quality, another content of videos to the forefront.
Who do you want to do that?
I think the
industry has some responsibility.
Well, see, when we get into this and having someone where I get a little nervous when we want them to do it for us.
Well, let's do it for ourselves. Then.
Okay.
Let's start making demands on the industry in terms of we will not tolerate you continuing to brainwash our young people.
What happens is they'll say, okay, well, we'll do it this way. But we let them do it, and then it's up to them again.
Right.
They can put out a message they think you want. Okay, well, suppose we don't have all thin women, and we range them in colors and hair. Will you be happy? Okay. But there could be all kinds of other things. It has to start with the people, not with the industry.
But happiness is determined by how much money whatever video or record makes. They know whether or not people are happy with this video or record by the extent to which people either buy it or tune in to watch it or call in on
Do we not have another analogy along a different line? The Bill Cosby Show, for example. I don't think anyone expected that show to have achieved the success, financial or otherwise, that it did. It's a very clean, family-oriented, positive value. he has a psychiatrist, Albert Poussin, who acted as a consultant in terms of, I guess, reading the scripts and making sure that certain kinds of attitudes and values were reinforced and projected. Why couldn't we, and certainly the Association of Black Psychologists, of whom I'm a member, should perhaps be playing a role in this. Why shouldn't and couldn't we be acting as consultants to some of the record companies and the industry in terms of at least trying to provide some feedback with respect to the messages that are being projected?
It makes so much sense, but Jamie and Candy and Lydia know a lot more about the record business than I do. Right. Tell us what would happen if the Association of Black Psychologists went to Time Warner and said, we would like to consult with you on whether or not your product is proper.
The only way they're going to make a difference is this. If you hit them in the pocket.
Right.
Now, if tomorrow Mary Had a Little Lamb was the thing that everybody wanted to get down with, that's the kind of music they will put out. You understand? The more you tell them, the more you the way I look at dealing with them is not so much through. I look at dealing with the McDonald's and people like that. If I were to say, well, McDonald's, I just saw BET or MTV program a video that had your commercial was right behind it, and you're supporting that, and I find it very offensive. You will have a lot of response from BET, MTV, and all the other networks.
We do have to take a short break, and when we come back, more on music videos, so stay with us. Welcome back to Evening Exchange. In case you've just tuned in, this is the second half of a two-part series examining the music video industry. We are joined by WHUR radio personality Candy Shannon, who hosts the Music Video Connection. Lydia Cole is Director of Music Programming at BET. Billy Woodruff is a video director, also of BET. Jamie Foster Brown is editor of Sister to Sister magazine, the one that when you see me again, I'll be holding up, and psychologist Dr. Pat Fisher. That last video we watched was called Baby, 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 and the lyrics said, if you want to get me off, you've got to know the deal. This is something that we discussed yesterday, and I'd like to hear the grown-up comments on it today, because the young people yesterday seemed to feel that it was perfectly all right.
That was one of their nice ones.
The first one
That's a poor one
really
to use as an example. The subtlety's back a little bit with Baby, Baby, Baby.
Okay.
In Ain't Too Proud to Beg, it was another story.
Yes. Oh, I never saw the Ain't Too Proud to Beg video. One of our young people confused the two yesterday. But getting back to what the music industry and the video industry will accept, did you get the impression, if you saw the show yesterday, that our young people feel that this is such a big and powerful industry that what can you do? Just flip to another channel.
That way. Yeah, they did feel that way. But it's like searching as what to do. I mean, I am pulling a lot of women, very important women together, especially mothers. There are a lot of female artists who are like sick of it. Good. You know, they're just saying, we are so tired of this. So there are movements and rumblings about this is enough. You know, we're going to take back our children. I particularly feel that black women are the only answer to help get our families and our husbands and our children back. And also the young men that we're raising today that turn out to be beasts from our bellies. Our children don't come out of us like that, but we lose control of them. And I think that it's very important that we stand up. For instance, I'll give you an example. And we talked about this in some couple of years ago. My sister, who writes in the magazine Starlights by Stella, her name is Stella Foster, we attacked Don Cornelius with Soul Train, and we called it Whole Train, because they actually tell the cameraman to train the cameras up our young girls in between their dresses and stuff. They tell the young girls that the more lewd you act, the skimpier you dress, the more the camera will be on you. So this is a pressure for them because they want to be seen, they want to be actresses, models, whatever, for them to take off their clothes to be as lewd as they can. Well, we've got that coming into our homes at 4 in the afternoon or at noon or whatever time it is. And Don Cornelius was very upset with me and said that we were trying to actually get fame off of him. My point is if you're going to show it at midnight or 1 a.m. or something like that, so that the Japanese businessmen and all those see, the problem is that we're programmed below the navel, and we're really programmed to men. Men get
the problem also is that Don Cornelius got upset with you. He didn't see himself as doing anything wrong or unacceptable.
And so it comes back again to the point that those people who really are concerned, who recognize why perhaps the teenage pregnancy rate is out of control. There are many factors, but perhaps this is part of it. The attitudes that young people have about sex. And then if we were talking more about the violence, that might also enter, may have something to do with this, but to expect it to come from that source, I think, is naive. It has to come from the people who buy the records, who raise the children. But if you have people who don't have sense enough, there are so many people out there who don't have the tools with which to deal with this. I mean, my family is, I have 2 male teenagers, and my husband and I are together. We're both educated, we're both middle class, and we're smart because we're always bribing, trying to figure out how to get around this or that or the other. And also, I'm involved in the music industry. I know before my children know what the next record is going to be or the next trend will be. We catch hell. Even as a 5-star family, let's say, we catch hell. What about that family out there that has one parent or no parents or anything? They have no one talking to them like that. They don't have, and my children wanted to see, one little boy wanted to see Cypress Hill a couple of weeks ago. They wanted to go out to the Capitol Center. Parents are afraid also. They're not being parents, they're being friends. But that's not the fault of the music industry. I'm not one to defend it because I find a lot of what goes on personally horribly offensive, and the images that women are subjected to. I sit with my niece who's 15 years old and go, "Come on, Christina, no. What do you think about that?" Now, I can only affect her, really. I'm not in a big room, but maybe when she goes back to High Point High School, she'll talk to somebody. It still has to come from us. If we give it up to them.
The responsibility, let me just say this, Candy. There is a responsibility here because this is mass media. There's no way I can tune out all the stuff that gets into my children's head. No way. There's no way. When you have little toddlers and stuff and you say, well, I don't let my kid listen to that, I don't let them see that. You cannot say that when those kids get to be...
But who are you going... And so what do you want? Do you want the big censor? Because that's what we're really talking about.
I want the big responsibility.
Okay,
the big
but what
because
happens?
The more... I notice this, I understand what you're saying, but the more... I notice this with my magazine. The more people come to me and respond to things that are in my magazine, and I see the larger it's getting, the more influence it has, that tells me the more responsible I have to be with what I say in it, and that I have to research the facts in it, and I can't be irresponsible, just throw anything out there and hurt someone.
But here we come back to the suggestion of the American Psychological Association. I want, because of that, to get into the heads for a minute of the people who create these records and videos, and the people who come to you and say, I want to do this. You've got a lot of, it seems, mostly guys out here, although Jamie Foster Brown will soon read a lyric that apparently was not written by guys that we're going to hear about. But you get these guys out here who come to you and say, this is what I'm writing about and this is what's in my head. I'd like those of you who interact with them socially to tell me a little bit, or to tell our viewing audience a little bit, about what are these guys thinking about?
Well, right now, in black music, everyone's very concerned, image-wise, concerned with coming across as being very hard.
Right.
Tell our viewers what that means. A lot of our adults don't know what hard means.
Hard meaning
hardcore, street.
Appear street, like gangster, tough.
Like they tell Crisscross, don't smile. They tell these little boys, no smiling. They got to be hard.
Yeah, the group Crisscross is very successful now. They're young kids. The record company doesn't want them to be seen in any way that makes them seem like they're nice, even though they are nice. So, I mean, but there's a lot of, that's marketing, and the marketing now is to be hard.
Allow me to interrupt and bring our psychologist. What you have is a record industry
Right.
that says we can help you to make a great deal of money, but you gotta act
Play it.
like a gangster.
Right, but that's not new. They've tried to do that and have done it for centuries now.
Exactly.
But why do we, those of us who think we have some level of consciousness, know our history, know how the game is played, why are we so quiet about this? I agree with you, Candy, that it's going to take a concerted effort, and I don't think it's one-dimensional. I think it needs to be people within the industry, it needs to be churches, it needs to be families, it needs to
let's
be
talk about
professional
churches.
groups, it needs to be all of us, and we need a plan. We need a strategy, because we are being co-opted, again, at a much more sophisticated level. What do black men think? They don't think. They're consumers.
Exactly.
But the people
And then
that
they react to women accordingly. And because women are more women than not, are so passive and are so brainwashed, they go along with the program. So nobody's
Well,
thinking.
sorry, Billy, you were.
Well, I was just going to say that the people that are really controlling these images, the people that are in control of the budgets at the record companies, they're not black men. They're mostly white men, and they're the ones in control of the money. And when you have a crisscross that wants to be successful and wants to make money, and this is the images that's going to make it for them, then they're going to go with that. And it's very hard to battle money. And I think that unless we have African Americans that are in control of the money or means of distribution for records and albums and music videos, that you're not really going to be able to affect a total change, without totally redirecting the way that it's done. There are groups like Arrested Development, that's a rap group that's very positive, very much into earth and the environment and into spirituality, that's doing very well, and they're crossing over. There's De La
You
Soul.
don't have to be nasty to
Yeah, so there are groups that make it.
Except that you have people like Fresh Prince, who's virtually lost a career as a rapper while he's gained one as a television
even with the
star,
Fresh
because
Prince-
he's supposed to be too soft.
Yeah,
Kid
but
and Play
now-
almost blew it because they were seen as being too
But
soft.
Fresh Prince changed his image as well. When he did a new album,
Right.
he got harder. He talks deeper now, and he has songs that are different from what he did before, that deal with a lot of the explicit lyrics.
But
and
Lydia,
stuff
who
like
is
that.
it that determines that that's what's got to sell? Because go-go artists in D.C. who are very popular around, who just cannot break out nationally, are constantly told by record companies, you look all right, but your lyrics aren't hard enough. The go-go artists, they have the great beat, but their lyrics just aren't hard
I
enough.
think
Who
go-go
makes those
artists have
decisions?
That
A bigger
situation
problem
is a
than
bigger
that.
problem. It's
Okay.
not. It's a regional kind of thing. And
Okay.
It's more than just their lyrics. But the people, just like Billy said, that make the decision are white men. They're white men, and they decide how to market our black artists. And our artists want to make the big bucks. They want to get in the door. The Arrested Development are few and far between. The name of Arrested Development's album says everything about what it took for them to get into the business.
Is it
5
a name?
years.
Is it a name that you can mention on tonight?
5
5
years,
years,
1
6
month, and
Okay.
10 days, or something like that. And that's the length of time that they've been together trying to get a record deal. They're different. They got lucky. I honestly feel they got lucky, and they obviously were talented. And there are a lot of other people out there that are talented that aren't getting those kind of deals because they don't want to give up their principles and be marketed in a way that's not them. They don't want to be sold down the river for all intent and purposes. But I agree with Candy. I think that it has to, that we as consumers and parents and viewers have to do our part. But also, the record industry has a responsibility. It's a business. It is a business that is taking large amounts of money out of our communities. And as a business, they have a responsibility to the people who keep them going.
The environment, the same thing with Exxon. If Exxon messes up the environment, we go after Exxon. You've messed up our water, our foul. And the same thing is lyrical oil spills into our community that really affects these children. Not only children, grown-ups also.
We'll give Jamie the opportunity in a second to talk about the women's contribution to music video, but first let's take a look at another music video and then discuss the role of women. This video is Giving Him Something He Can Feel by In Vogue. We recorded this one from Video Soul. Obviously, we've already been talking about this, and what we've been generally saying is that this is classy compared to some of the stuff that you're seeing out here right now. Let me hear your general comments on this.
One thing I like about this video, it is not as vulgar. Those women are dressed in evening gowns. It's very beautiful. They are beautiful presentation to their eye candy. I call that eye candy. They're rubbing the behind, but I have seen that kind of slinky sultriness from years ago in the 20s and 30s. I've seen that. And that's very tastefully
right.
done.
They're on stage, and the men can watch. And there is a little subtle difference where I'm performing for you, and you can enjoy it, but don't touch. I think that message kind of comes across. What happens in many videos, though, is the artist jumps into his fantasy, and he touches the
they're in the
female.
bed. And
Let's not forget Michael's bad video in which he grabbed his crotch 14 times.
And of course, now there is an example of response changing a video, though. Remember, and that
the violent part
at the end of his first video, which was dangerous. I can't even remember which song it was. Black and white.
Who remembers? It's more than a year
Black
old.
and white. At any rate, it's premiered on broadcast television, much to the dismay, apparently, of too many parents who saw the end and didn't know what happened to our nice, clean Michael Jackson, and they changed and edited the video.
There's a lot of
Michael
desensitizing going on here.
Michael is not your normal artist. He has a lot more social responsibility than most of them. And I think
look at Naomi Sims' video. Now, I was more appalled with that.
With
the Naomi Campbell video, excuse me. I was more appalled.
I think he's
with
reacting to the industry and to what everyone else is doing. And I think that one of the things that Candy said earlier that I don't agree with, I think there are more videos that are going in that direction and not fewer. They're few and far between which you will find that don't have sex and violence and lyrics that have some kind of problems. Whereas as recent as probably 3 years ago, you would have to look, and you would almost find them totally in the rap genre. You would not find strictly R&B video that would have the degree of sex and violence that almost comes in everything you get now.
You know what amazes me though is how with so many diseases out there, I still can't get over this. Is how are you tongue kissing every and anything that, I mean, it's like they don't believe anything can, they don't
People know what that is. As a matter of fact, I would like you to, without mentioning the name of the group, read some of the lyrics.
You really want me to read this?
Yes, I really want you to read that on the air.
Is the P still good to you? No haste to waste, made it back to the apartment, and being the instigator, I started. Dropped his drawers and then start kissing. F all the BS, no time for reminiscing. Slooping and sucking, knobbing and slobbing. Stiff like a MF, built like a rocket. He's steady effing down in my throat, but I'm loving every bit and refuse to choke. He's all excited, but I stay calm. Blew off in my mouth like a GD cherry bomb. I swallow every ounce of that sticky cum. That's how a D suck should be done. Nothing means more than pleasing you. Is the P still good to you?
Now tell our viewers the name of that group.
Bitches with problems.
There's another group called Hoes with Attitudes.
Attitude.
Dr. Fisher, what are our women understanding from all of this? Is a question that you'll have to answer when we come back, because we have to take a short break. So you stay right where you are. We'll be right back.
If you think that you're so fine, I wanna give you everything, but you just pass me by. Take all that you want from me until you get enough. Baby, keep on using me.
Welcome back. We're discussing music videos and the effect they have on the young people who watch them, and I frankly didn't understand why that video was run. But Jamie Foster Brown, what does that video say?
You're talking about the effect it has on young people, the effect it has on Dr. Fisher.
You're about to see some laypersons cheer up a psychologist. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is really sad. I mean, it's depressing beyond depressing.
I think that people would what you're saying, I think that adults would respond more if they knew what the words were saying. We tend to cut off because they turn that down. Don't tell your child to turn that down. Listen to what they're saying.
Listen.
Like when I mentioned earlier during the break, I wrote the lyrics like this, and I put the bleeps and everything in there 2 years ago, and people were very upset with me that I would even put something like that in my book, but I did it so that they would understand this is what your children are listening to over and over and over again. At least read it so you are aware of it.
But parents are not spending the kind of time monitoring their children, talking with their children, finding out or trying to determine what's going on in their heads.
They have less
But I think it's even deeper than that.
right.
If somebody
Yeah, they
comes
don't
to you
have
and
the
said, we're thinking of forming a group with the name Hoes with Attitudes. And
I
you,
would hit
and you
the
started
ceiling.
counseling them. You started in your professional capacity counseling them. And then they came back to you 2 years later and said, guess what? We made $1 million. We're famous. Young people now look up to us and want to be like us. What do you
And
say?
I would say I'm not surprised you made $1 million. I'm not surprised that you got the kind of response you did, because that's where society as a whole is. But let's get beyond that. What does calling yourself a bitch say about the way you think and feel about yourself as a human being? You know, we've talked so many years about civil rights. Maybe we need to shift the focus and start talking about human rights. Okay? Because as human beings, we need to understand, and we don't need to make any bones about it, we have got to start loving, liking, and respecting ourselves more. And when we start doing that, we will stop doing to ourselves what we're doing to ourselves and letting other people do it to us in terms of defining us.
But how do we go about doing that? I mean, I think we all of us here, sitting here, know that, and for our children, we'll provide that. But there are thousands of
That don't
black
have
children
that.
out there, particularly who don't have that, who don't come from households where the parents even have time to care.
Who live in
Or
a
even
society where
understand
money,
that.
who live in a society
Money
where
dictates
money is everything.
everything.
No
There
boundaries.
you have it. There
That's
you
it.
have it. Because it's a very difficult question, is it not, to try to say to people who think that, okay, I'm not going to ever play basketball, but I can make up a lyric that's going to shock folks and they're going to scream and yell because I see it happening on television, and I can make my money this way and get myself out of this financial
But you know what?
difficulty I'm
The
in.
thing is, like, I confront a lot of the groups about it, because once they come, they don't even like to come into my circle sometimes, you know, in my space, because I do, you have to be gentle. I don't ever want to alienate a group. And even Luke Skywalker, this is really interesting. I slam Luke left and right all the time in the magazine. When he does
Now, is
something
Luke
good,
and Luther the same person?
Luther
Luther
Campbell.
Skywalker.
Okay.
Campbell. Was
Okay.
it? You know,
Luther
Two Live
Campbell,
Crew.
Luke Skywalker. Okay.
I-
He had to abandon
I
the name
do-
Luke Skywalker because
He
of-
had to abandon that, right?
Okay.
But I have been after him for a long time, because I just tell him, I stick it to him whenever I can. It makes a difference to him on one level, because when he does something good, I will write that he did something good, and he grabs the magazine and holds it and runs away with it. Now his office calls me up and says, Jamie, Luke said, call you. We want to do an ad. We got this song out by Professor Griff called Sister, Sister, and it's so positive about women, and he knows you're going to be excited
But see,
about
that's
it.
the con. That's how our children con us, and that's how our children who become artists, in my opinion, con us. They will put on every album 1 or 2 positive
Exactly.
cuts.
Exactly.
And they'll
But
say,
Professor
yeah,
Griff is
we'll get
positive.
Jamie with this one.
No, but Professor Griff he's more political. He was
I
the
know.
one that
I
was
know
with
Professor
Chuck
Griff,
D.
right. He was here.
But what you were talking about, NWA and Bitches with Problems, that was the con. Now, there are some radio stations that refuse to play that one nice record because they said they're like Pied Pipers. The children will run and buy the album, and they'll hear
Get
all the
sucked
rest
into the rest.
later.
Yeah.
My thing is I find that most of the artists in the industry are truly not aware of a lot of things. No one has
Right.
ever told
They're
them
children.
no.
They're
not
No one has
They are
ever
children.
talked to them.
Yeah.
They are children.
Yeah.
You have to look at them like children. Why do you have to be mean? I get on the record label. Why does Criss Cross have to look mean all the time? I said, I was really pissed off, with you all for doing that. I really stick it to them. Now, I am at a risk because who supports me? The record label.
But that's where we
The
are.
advertising.
Really what we're saying is that if people do care and are concerned, then those who have any kind of power at all
They have to speak
have
up.
to go ahead and do it the way you think. For instance, in one little small
Sure.
thing, I once made the mistake of wearing something I thought was too short. I couldn't believe it. No one said anything to me about it, and when I saw it on
When you saw it
television,
on
I was
you were
so
horrified.
embarrassed and I knew I wouldn't want my child to find that tape and never see it someday. So I, from then on, knew it doesn't matter. Oh, you look good, honey. I don't care. That is not who Candy Shannon's going to be on the music
You're
video
lucky.
connection.
Somebody says something to me every day about what I wear. But it's interesting to hear you, Billy, say that they're children, because all of us, the rest of us, have children. So it's easy for us to say people are acting like children. You say a lot of the artists that you deal with are basically children whom nobody, it appears, has ever really tried to correct them?
No, you're dealing with a lot of people that they get money and fame really fast. It's new to them, and they haven't worked out, how they want to live their lives or what's the right way to live it. And they don't have a lot of people or anyone, a lot of them, guiding them in the right direction. They don't have guidance. Their managers are just trying to make money off of them.
So what they get is a lot of flattery.
Yeah, I mean, they get the fans, they get the adulation, they get the record sales, I don't want to name any artists, but the people that I've seen in the videos that you're playing now that I've known since they started out, and I know how they conduct themselves in their private lives, and it's just reflected, in the music videos. They don't have a responsibility for what they're saying.
And they don't have a lot of Jamies who are running around trying to choke them every time she sees them, so they can do a
Also-
little better. So we get back to the people in power. Go ahead.
Well, but many of them think that come from low-income urban
Exactly.
areas, and
Very
that's their
talented,
perception.
right,
That's their perception of reality, and they think that that's how it is for everybody. They think that women are generally, that's their perception of women in general, and it always has been. It doesn't change, and they feel that they're giving the real message. They think they're telling the real story. So they don't even understand why you would be upset. And those people that are in the music industry that are making decisions, from their vantage point, it
That's
is
the only story of black people very often.
well, many of them are in a
black
position
people,
that they
That's why
don't
want to-
care.
They don't care. They
You know,
want to
right.
make the money.
They don't
Right.
care, and the black people they work with want to make the money too. So and they work for them. They're not going to say anything. They feel that it's up to the parents, which it is, to teach the child and teach them properly. And even some of them say, well, that's what goes on in their household, so what's the problem?
It doesn't
I've
make
heard
it
them
right.
say
See,
that.
that's what you're saying is absolutely correct. But the thing is that this complacency and passivity is what drives me up the wall. I cannot handle that, and I keep telling them, your CEO is not the man at CBS or RCA or Motown or here at Howard University is the man upstairs. If you are doing wrong, eventually you have to know right from wrong. These children, a lot of them have not even been taught right from wrong. And my thing is that when you get a Chuck D, you get a Luke Skywalker in them, they're Pied Pipers. They have the minds of our children. So what do? You can't change them. You can't tell the kids, don't listen to them. That makes the children want to listen to them more. You have to talk to them. You have to talk to you have to make them more aware.
But you
And I
can
think
talk to
that-
your children too as they listen to him now, and you can
That's
say,
correct,
what,
right.
what is he talking about? And your kid says this. You say, do you really think that? Don't be afraid
Right.
to
Right.
engage your children
That's-
or children on the street corner. I was walking. Well, that's another long story. But one of the things that I think, another message we need to make clear. Lydia was saying, well, they think this is reality. But those people, Billy can testify. You make a music video, it might take you 2 or 3 days to do 5 minutes. What we see is not reality, people. Television is not for real, except good shows like this and
Some
the
of us
news.
are more aware of that.
Well,
than
but we
others.
have to get
They're
that
grown
word
people
out,
not
though.
aware of
But
that.
I'm saying that the artist that's making it thinks
Right.
it's reality, not what
But
people.
okay. But what
And
I
if
want-
that's their perception, then they don't see anything wrong.
But what
and
I'm
I'm not
saying,
condoning
though-
it. I'm just trying to explain
But
it.
what I'm
Remember,
saying
even
is-
in the 60s, we romanticized the brothers on the block.
Yeah,
Yes.
As if that was the only reality that had any
Right.
cultural integrity.
And the thing to remember is that what you actually see on screen, 2 steps back, there's a lighting director and there's a slate. I mean, it really
Well, they don't
isn't-
see that.
But,
Right.
but we need to understand that and help people realize. Then you can appreciate it for what it is or isn't. And you still have your real life.
But you can't make the child in the ghetto
Right.
who's living that life. I mean, I think we have to look at it. We can sit here and look at it if we want in our middle class way and only see our viewpoint. But that's not going to change anything. You have to look at the whole picture, and you have to look at everybody everybody, every variable as a part of that
living
picture.
which life? The one that the fantasy that says I've got a zillion women fawning on?
No, that says that women are objects of are sexual objects, and that it's
Right.
okay to
For a
be
man's
treated like
pleasure.
that.
Right.
I mean, you have to look at the message, as Jamie said, that they're presenting. It's not. They don't necessarily break it down to every little thing in terms that we see in the video. They see that
here's where the
that's
big
how my
problems
mother was
Here's where
treated,
the big
so it's
problems
okay.
come. We talk about sex and violence in the videos. Do the videos, in anybody's opinion, encourage a combination of the two, violence against women?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, the whole society
Much more
encourages
in rock
violence against
videos,
women.
though.
I think
Much,
one thing
much
that
more
bothers
rock
me
videos.
is that it also encourages black man's violence against one another, like a nigger. I go shoot this nigger. You know, I was just telling my child last night, I don't want you listening to this particular, because I listen to what they're listening to. And he said, Mom, I just happen to like the beat, because the beat is infectious. Okay, don't ever eliminate the beat. The beat is what gets you in the first place, and then eventually you get drawn into it. He wants that beat. Now he's gonna say those words. I said, what you're doing is desensitizing you in terms of the life of another black person. I'll shoot a nigger, and this is very scary to me. But I was there to tell him that. But the most parents will say, put your Walkman on. Don't ever tell them put the Walkman on, because they're listening to the exclusion of all else at that time. It's brainwashing, really.
We only have a very little time left, and I'd like to know what advice any of you would give to the parents of young people to whom these videos are being addressed.
Listen and watch with them.
Yeah.
And execute your authority as a parent to turn it off.
Don't be their friend. You are not their friend. They have not paid a bill in that house. Get them.
Talk to them, keep the lines of communication open, and set limits with them.
And I guess
Very
for those
clear
of you
limits.
who are too outraged by these videos, some of them, to tolerate them at all, then you'll have to do what Jamie Foster Brown and others are suggesting. You have to organize and try to deal with the commercial sponsors and to deal with the record companies and lobby. But we do have to take another short break, and we'll be right back.
Funky rhyme with a funky, funky style. Funky rhyme with a funky, funky style. Funky, funky rhyme with a funky, funky style. I got a funky rhyme with a funky, funky style. Got out of my bed about 8.